So, before birth, all of your primary oocytes will be sitting in primordial follicles. So that happens before birth, and that's how the oocytes will be stored throughout life. So here are your primordial follicles. They have one very thin layer of one thin layer of cells around the primary oocyte. During every month, several of these will begin developing granulosa cells around them. So when you see one layer of granulosa cells, so this one and this one, that's called the primary follicle. It still has a primary oocyte inside of it. Then you have more than one layer of granulosa cells, and beginning to see the antrum, which is the fluid-filled space, you're going to call that a secondary oocyte, or a secondary follicle with primary oocyte. Then your follicle is going to get very, very big. The antrum is going to get very, very big, as you can see right here, in comparison to this. This is called the Graafian follicle, and that's the follicle that's going to be ovulated. So, Graafian follicle, this is where you will see a secondary oocyte. So everything before that, primary oocyte, and just keep track of your follicles. When you get to Graafian, know it's Graafian, and know that it's secondary oocyte. And secondary oocyte is the one that's going to be ovulated. So here you see your Graafian follicle ovulated. That's got to be the secondary oocyte. This right here is the secondary follicle, Graafian follicle, secondary oocyte, primary oocyte. After ovulation, the remaining follicle will form what's called corpus luteum, which is just a scar tissue. It's progesterone secreting scar tissue. So corpus luteum, here you see corpus luteum, corpus luteum. After, if no fertilization occurs, then after about 14 days, corpus luteum will degenerate and become corpus albicans. So here is the corpus albicans, here's the corpus albicans. Corpus albicans does not produce any hormone. So so that's the ovarian cycle. So we have 3 stages. Follicular, that's when your follicle develops. Estrogen is most active here. You have ovulation. Ovulation happens because of the positive feedback of estrogen onto the hypothalamus and the pituitary, and you have a surge of LH and FSH, and LH is the thing that will cause the primary oocyte to turn into secondary oocyte and the follicle to rupture. So all of that is because of LH. And then corpus luteum, like I said, is a progesterone-producing tissue, so here you will still have estrogen, progesterone, but progesterone will be predominant. Alright, and then at the end of the cycle, that's when there are no hormones because the follicle is not developing and the corpus luteum has degenerated. So here you have no hormones, and that's what causes your menses. So now we are at the uterine cycle. So uterine cycle has 3 stages to it too. It has menses, that's 1. Then it has a proliferative stage, this is the repair of the uterus, and then it has a secretory phase, which is the building up of the uterus. So here, this is menses. So no hormone, right? So this is day 1 through about 7.
So that what phase is that? Menstrual phase? That's the menstrual phase?
Yeah. After that, you will, under the actions of estrogen, because it kind of correlates to the follicular phase of the ovarian cycle, so you have estrogen, your uterine lining will be repaired.
That's proliferative.
That's proliferative stage, yes. And after that, once the ovulation occurs and then you start producing lots and lots of progesterone by your corpus luteum, you will be in secretory phase. In the secretory phase, you just build up your uterine lining, and that's due to the action of progesterone. So progesterone acts on the uterus to build up the lining in case fertilization does occur.
Secretory representation.
Yeah.
For the 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah. Separate the ovarian and the uterine cycle. 2 different things happen in 2 different organs.